I'm so excited about today's topic, and it's all about my preconception journey. And I'm just so excited to talk to you about it. And I'm going to try my best to stay on topic and not go all over, um, and try to keep it to the point so it's pretty simple for you guys to follow and not overwhelming. But yeah, people don't. Here's the first thing I want to start off with. People do not think about their future fertility and preconception health until they want to conceive. And I think that's wrong. I think we need to start thinking about this once we've had our first period. As a teenager, yeah, you don't want to get pregnant, but at least be taught, like, okay, you have your period. These are the things you can enjoy about your cycle, and be taught when your fertility window is so that you can't get pregnant all the time. So, and just be careful around those times, right? So I wish women were taught that more, so that then they can make empowered decisions of whether they do want to go on the pill to prevent pregnancy or they just want to prevent it naturally by tracking their cycle. And that is really important, because when you make decisions of going on certain medications, any medications, you want to make sure your nutrient levels are being supported, because we need our nutrition and our nutrient levels in our body to be there when we get pregnant, because our baby's going to be using that all, and otherwise you're going to be yourself depleted. The baby's going to take what it needs, but you'll be depleted. So I find our childbearing years are beautiful, and we should really be caring about our period and fertility health during that time. Right? So when it comes to you wanting to start a family, you can do that without problems, complications, and heartbreak, right? Because those are common things that are going on. There's so much infertility these days. It's really heartbreaking, and it should not be like that. But it starts from day one of your period that you get that. So, but that being said, even if you've been on different things, right, you can do things before you want to get pregnant, if you give yourself enough timeline, and if you know that, right? If you know you want to have a family in the future, start thinking about your preconception health and your fertility now. Okay? So that's something I realized. I realized that once I met my husband, we got engaged. I was like, okay, I do really got to start caring about this. And that's when I kind of started my journey. But it really started for me after our wedding. So we got married January 2019. Then we went on a honeymoon, had lots of fun, drank lots of alcohol, great time. And then in February, when I think we got back right at the end of January, but February 5th, I got my IUD removed, because I had that IUD in for, I think it was like something like 10 months. I was ready to get it removed. I was, at this point, I was well educated around IUDs, hormonal birth control. So I was like, this is not the right thing for me. And I do know I want to have a family in the future. Now that I'm married, I know if shit happens, like, shit happens. But I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to track my fertility naturally, fix my gut health, and get my hormones back in balance, because I also learned that this could take a while. Sometimes dealing like with energy problems, it can take a year to build that back up. It could take a year to build up your nutrient stores. It's just, you can do a lot in 3 months, but in 3-month increments, you're reassessing your health and you are progressing in the right direction. But you have to keep in mind, this takes time, right? And when we give ourselves the space and time to do these things, we have less stress. And that's really important. So I'm happy that I was thinking ahead early on, about my fertility health, right? Because when I went on the pill, I had irregular cycles, painful periods, acne. Like, I knew things weren't right, and I knew I had to, from reading and educating myself and going to school, I knew that I had to work on my health to get that regulated. So then when it did come time for me to want to have a kid, I could, and it wouldn't be a problem, right? So, and I was worried about my fertility health. I really was. I was like, I don't know. Like, I used to get 4 periods a year, maybe. Like, that kind of concerning. See? So, and because I'm a critical thinker, and a logical thinker, I was like, okay, we got to get in this process. So that's when I started. So I got the IUD removed, went straight into a gut health protocol, and completely healed and sealed my gut. But the thing is in 2019, it worked. And I think it was the first step in my journey I needed to take to start to really feel well. All of a sudden, like, I've been seeing naturopaths for 2 years. I wasn't feeling great up until this point. I went on the IUD because of a practitioner. Worst decision I made for myself. Lost my libido completely. Thank goodness with doing this work and coming off the IUD, my libido came back like crazy. It was insane. Like, even here's the other thing. Tracking my cycle wasn't the easiest in the beginning because I had such long cycles, and it kind of was all over the place, and you kind of have to get used to your signs. So they say you want to give yourself 3 months. So we use condoms, but you know what my husband said, and I find there's a stigma around it. Men don't like to use condoms, and my husband was like that. But going through no libido phase of our life where I did not want sex whatsoever, my husband even said, like, wow, like, he does not mind wearing condoms because our sex life was 10 times better. 10 times better. And it's unfortunate because he didn't know that until, like, after I went through that whole almost year where it's like, yeah, I really struggled. And it wasn't that I didn't love my husband unless it wasn't that I wasn't attracted to him. It was just my hormones were not happy. My body was just not happy. Like, my libido is it could be the first thing to go, right? Like, hormones are secondary functions of the body. Your primary functions is like your heart, your liver, like all those things are working, right? So unfortunately, you only figure that out later and in the process. But no. And another thing is finding the right one that fits. You need to find the right condom that fits you. And sometimes that's a bit of trial and error. But that's the contraceptive method we used, was condoms during my fertility window. And when I wasn't in my fertility window, we didn't need them because we were married. And so, yeah, that was our choice. Those are decisions we made. So that was basically 2019. In 2020, I started to get some digestive symptoms coming back. And I was still struggling a lot with stress and being able to manage my stress with, like, school, starting a business, all these things in life. So then I got into hiring a coach on trauma work. So I worked on my trauma from childhood, past life stuff, if you believe in that. I started to really, like, because I was holding things in my body that were causing me stress, right? It was causing me more stress. That's why I say managing stress, you could do all the nature walks you want. You still have to work, right? So, and I love working, right? Like, I love working. My job is something I really enjoy and I'm passionate about. But it's hard when you have to keep putting certain things on hold, like your job, because you're just so fatigued. And I knew if I was this fatigued and stressed right now, how the frig was I going to get through pregnancy? So I did a lot of trauma healing, and actually I think that opened up my heart to wanting a family. Because up until this point, I was on the fence. Like, I knew maybe down the line, but I cared about my future fertility that I started early, but I didn't know that I really wanted a family yet. I honestly didn't, and that's okay. So I did the trauma healing in the spring-ish, I think it was May-ish. And then in July, I went on a week trip with my parents to their home in BC. We went hiking in the mountains, and I just, like, because I was surrounded by nature, I was working, I was having so much fun, and I was journaling, and I really connected with myself. And I was like, you know what? I do want a family. And I was like, I do want a baby. So, came back to see my husband in July. We were at the trailer, and I told him, and so that's when we were like, okay, we're gonna do the prep work, basically the heavy lifting of our prep work to really support my egg health and to support his sperm health. So we both did a gut healing protocol. Took a little bit longer. We did additional stuff, but we gave ourselves the time, even though we wanted to start a bit earlier in our conception, or start trying a bit earlier. It didn't work out as we fully wanted, because I had some health problems. Not really health problems. I had some other things like indigestion come up, and it just pushed things a little bit back. And that was okay, because I knew, you know what, we have time. We know we want this, but I have time. And that's a key thing. During the pandemic too, you have that stress going on too, right? So yeah, so basically did another heavy metal detox. So I did that the first year of 2019 for myself, because I had lots of aluminum in my body and quite a bit of mercury. So you want to get those levels lower, if you're aware of them, before pregnancy. So I did another one just to get my levels even lower, because that can really sit in the placenta, and your baby can be then born with it in the, what was I saying? Yes, it could go in the placenta, but it will be in the umbilical cord. Yeah, you want to really reduce those heavy metals in your body, because, you know, there's so many toxins found in the umbilical cord to your baby when it's born, that I really want to reduce my toxic load, and especially heavy metals, because those can affect the baby's health, brain health, all these other things that can come up in life, right? So I just, for my peace of mind, did all these things. So now I know that while I'm pregnant, I did everything that I could for my body. I am healthy, and if anything, any complications or things come up, you know what? I did everything I could. So there's no, I'm not going to be shaming myself. I'm not going to be angry at myself, because I know I could do everything within my power and knowledge, to make sure I have a healthy baby. Okay? And that's all that matters at the end of the day. And I was just trying to be my better self. So that's basically what we did. My husband also did the heavy metal detox, right? Because mercury and sperm are not friends. And because of that, he also got his mercury amalgams removed. He had one that was leaking. Thank goodness he removed that. But with my help, he did a heavy metal detox before and after, which was really important, because mercury in the sperm affects the DNA, and then that can affect the quality of your pregnancy, and that could also lead to miscarriage, right? There's so many different things that could lead to miscarriage, but it's, as long as you're improving your egg quality and your sperm quality, you should be good, ideally, right? And sometimes shit happens. Sometimes stuff happens, and I'm not saying it's easy, but you just have to respect your body and trust your body that it's doing the right thing for you, at that moment in time. Okay, so all in all, I spent 2 years and 4 months since coming off the IUD preparing for my pregnancy. Okay, hope that gives you a bit of a timeline. Ideally, if you are on hormonal birth control and you're thinking about wanting a family in the future, a minimum, I recommend 6 months of prep. And that's why I have a program that's 3 months, which is perfect. Like, it gives you all the information you need in 3 months to understand what you need to do for your health and your body. But really give your body 6 months. And ideally, in a perfect world, I'm saying this as a perfect world, and I need to give you this research that's out there, that there is a transition period from coming off the pill, if you get the shot, if you get the IUD, whatever it is, a transition time of your period normalizing and being fully healthy again of 18 months to 2 years. So as you can see, I took 2 years for my body to completely, be healthy. And then at the 2 years and 4 months mark, I was like, okay. But actually, yeah, I did not want to get pregnant before February, because I have read that if it's possible for you to give your body 2 years time, that's the best case scenario. So I knew I didn't want to try before February of 2021 because of that. And that was my own decision and for my own reading. And that's something I want to share with you. And that's something really important to know, because preconception health, people sometimes just think 6 months, a year. Of course, if you give your body 3 months, and then you're able to give it 6 months, even better. If you're able to give it a year, even better. And apparently, if you're able to give it 2 years, even better. But at the end of the day, you do the best that you can, right? Like, my mother, she came off the pill and got pregnant with me right away, right? So no judgment. But I just want to give you guys the facts so you have the facts, right? So as you can see, both partners in the preconception health are really important. So I was very happy that my husband did this with me. If I asked him 2 years ago, probably wouldn't have been the same full story. One last thing I do want to mention that I did not mention. I did stop drinking alcohol after my honeymoon. So from February 2019, I basically stopped drinking alcohol. So in those 2 years, I had 2 drinks. They were for special occasions. It wasn't like that I quit alcohol because I didn't like it or whatever. I kept going, not wanting to go back on alcohol because I felt so much better. I'd be so fatigued the next day after drinking alcohol. So again, it came down to my health, and I found being able to function every day and doing the things I love was more important than me enjoying a glass of wine, which I loved wine, and I still have my moments that I did, right? So that was a huge factor. I quit alcohol like way before even getting pregnant, for my health. And another huge factor was I did get off of all caffeine. I occasionally have the chocolate still, but I got off of chocolate. I got off of matcha tea. Like anything with caffeine, my caffeinated teas. I think I got off in April. I started, or like May. It was hard. I had caffeine withdrawals just from going off of tea. But I was learning that for my adrenal health, it was really important. And then because during the birthing process, your adrenals work so hard, your adrenals actually you don't want to keep burning them out with like even little bits of caffeine. So, and because I want my birth to be the best as possible, I was like, okay, I'm going to get off of caffeine. So, that was even before fully making the decision we're going to try June, but I made that decision already earlier. I was like, and actually I felt better. My heart rate felt better. Just like other things started feeling better. So alcohol and caffeine, those were 2 huge things. Caffeine, of course, like matcha teas, giving something up that you love that much, and that's a ritual, not easy. And I fully understand it. I love chocolate. Not easy. And you know what? Chocolate was actually a big one for me because chocolate wasn't doing me any favors. I think I've overindulged in it too many times. It just wasn't doing me any good. I noticed my heart rate would be a little bit elevated with it. So I knew it was just something I had to rip the Band-Aid off. And you know what? It took me 2 years to do that. Because I think I've started noticing it 2 years ago. And when you're so attached to something, it's not easy. And I want to share that with you. It's not easy giving up certain things for your health. Okay, it's not easy. One last thing, my husband, he was only drinking maximum 2 beers or 2 alcoholic drinks a week before conception, basically the month before. We were really trying to conceive, and in the winter months he basically doesn't drink anyways, so he would actually substitute with non-alcoholic beer, was our compromise, because with socializing and summertime, I was like, okay, do non-alcoholic beer, but I was really firm on not wanting him to do more than 2 drinks a week, just from some research I had about sperm health and things like that, these are like little things that are important to take into factor and have discussions with, right? Like I didn't force him to quit alcohol, right? We had this discussion and he agreed 2 drinks per week was fair, because now that I'm pregnant, it's like, still for his own health, he should reduce his like alcohol intake, but he can now enjoy what he wants, right? And he doesn't have to worry so much about sperm health because now the heavy lifting's on me, but also the heavy lifting is on him, as for like he's helping me cook, and especially when I'm more fatigued, he's pulling way more of his weight, plus he's working, like, so he pulls a lot of his weight. And I will never say a man does not pull their weight, because they freaking do. They just it's just very different for them, right? Like when their wife is pregnant, it's very different for them than like what we're dealing with is making this baby, right? So, but they're there, they want to support you. They really do. So those are things to keep in mind, and like don't force your man to do something if they don't want to, right? Same with the preconception health journey. If they don't want to, you can't force them. You really cannot. And I didn't force my husband. It was a conversation, and he decided on his own by seeing his lab work. He was like, okay, I need to do something. So, and that's how it just went to play. All right. I know this video was a bit longer, but I hope you enjoyed it because it kind of gave the full overview of our preconception journey that I think was really important for you guys to understand. Because there's a lot that goes into it, and these are all things I discuss with my clients. And of course, everyone's journey looks a little different, but I kind of wanted to give you the timeline and kind of wanted to show you that, like, yeah, I did not want to get pregnant when I first came off of the IUD. And then I only decided at a point that I was like, okay, I do want a family. But up to that point, I was on the fence. Like, I was okay not having kids for quite a long time. So those are things you have to keep in mind that I think some people don't know about me, but I did want to share. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment below of any questions you may have or what you really liked about this conversation. And if you want to keep up to date with all my new videos popping up around, period health, fertility health, and in my own journey of my pregnancy, don't forget to hit the button subscribe so that you can stay up to date. And I look forward to talking to you guys next time.